tonight is an Emmy-nominated actor you know from movies like Anchorman, Knocked Up, This Is 40, and the Ant-Man franchise. He stars in Power Ballad, which is in theaters Friday, June 5th. Let's take a look.
Well,
It's lovely. Why are we listening to it?
you don't recognize it?
Should I?
Of course, yes, you should. That's my chorus and verse. Are you serious?
You wrote that.
I've sung it for you. You don't remember?
When?
Well, I mean, it would have been.
I don't remember that. A lot of music gets played around here. You couldn't remember the half of it.
Look at that. It's already up to 2 million views. Thing just came out yesterday. I like what he did with it. It's pretty good.
Please welcome
Are you gonna be right?
Whoa. Whoa. Steve, you pointed at me too soon. You gotta own that, Steve. Please welcome back to the show one of my favorite people to go day drinking with, and my good friend, Paul Rudd, everybody. Hello, friend.
Hi, Steve, don't worry about it. I think you got the gist of the clip anyway.
I like to step on the end of a cliff. We did go day drinking together. This is the end. We were doing full Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And I always say when people ask about what was the hardest day drinking and when was I the most beat up, and there's a lot of good examples, but yours stands out because it's the only one where when it was over and the cameras were off, we each had one more drink.
Not just one.
Yeah, that's true.
We stayed. We were at that pub, and then I just remember they were clearing out. We're just like, should just keep going?
Yeah.
And we sat and just pulled pints of Guinness and.
Yeah, well,
sat
you pulled pints of Guinness. I would not have the confidence at an actual Irish bar to pull a pint of Guinness, but you kind of know your way around a bar. I mean,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do.
Well,
I
you have one in your basement.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have Guinness on tap.
Yeah, you have Guinness on. I've been lucky enough to be invited to a few parties
You've
in
been
your
there.
basement.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not. I just want people to know this is not some like slapdash basement bar. This is the real deal.
You don't feel like you're in a house. It's
No.
an Irish pub that's.
Yeah. There's also, you have a lot of paraphernalia on the walls, and in that way that I think a man of a certain age can have a pint in their hand and then just like walk down memory lane looking at like sports stuff and like signed baseballs. Sometimes I'm like really bummed when I remember I'm in a house. you know
Tell
what
me
I
about
mean?
it.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know,
like,
yeah.
I'm a cold, mostly because that's when I remember that I drove there.
Well, it's nice too. We have extra rooms. We just say like it's like a real inn.
Yeah.
You just go upstairs. There's no last call.
Was this a dream of yours to one day be a guy who had a bar in your basement?
I didn't think it was, but it's the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. My dad started it because when my son was born, my parents moved into a new house, and there was an unfinished basement. And my dad said, "I'm going to build an Irish pub for my grandson," and it took him a year. He did it, and he said, "When it's done, you'll bring your son." He said Jack. That's his grandson. He didn't say your son.
He's very formal. He's very formal.
You'll bring your child to my house.
You're like, he has a name, Dad.
And so do I. and so, yeah, after a year, he said, it's ready. Come back, check it out. This was in Kansas City. Flew to Kansas City. My son was almost 1. He had his first pint of Guinness. And I'm like, Dad, you've ruined it for me. If I ever get a house, I had to have a pub in it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I really recommend putting a pub in your house. If you
did.
It's more important than a kitchen.
Yep. And by the way, the other thing is there's a karaoke element to a night in the Red Pub.
Yeah.
And is it also true that you had a plan to sing? You had a duet song with your son when he was young that you wanted to teach him.
Yeah, that was.
How old was he?
He was probably about 4. He was probably about 4 or 5, and
Okay.
I tried to teach him "Cats in the Cradle" as a duet. Because it's a horrible song.
Yeah.
I hate it, and it just I think all new dads, it strikes a little too close to the bone. And then especially for someone like me who is technically an absentee father.
Right.
But it tried to teach him kind of like a, father and son, Cat Stevens. He does the child parts, and we did it, and it made people very uncomfortable.
Yeah. I will say there are very few father-son duets out there.
I know.
And so I think just in general, it's uncomfortable, whatever the song is.
It's also weird to see a grown man singing with a 4-year-old, son or not.
Yeah, son. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say son is the least uncomfortable, and it's still real uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Just any 4-year. What? Yeah. What would be like Shallow?
Oh.
You could get a kid to come over to Shallow.
I mean, doing Shallow on like America's Got Talent, and then they're like, so your dad taught you the song? And it's like, he's not my dad.
No. Just some guy with a pub.
He lives in my neighborhood and he has a pub in his basement.
He always invites us over. No call times, no.
All right, I want to ask you about your movie. Stick around. We'll be right back with more from Paul Rudd. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Paul Rudd. All right, so you play a wedding singer in this film.
Yeah.
And Nick Jonas is in the film as well.
Yeah.
And he plays a pop star.
Right.
I'm going to keep telling you about your movie.
Please.
So it was just under 2 hours.
Yeah. Hour and a half.
Yeah, it's
Almost
real
an hour
nice.
and a
It's
half.
really nice, yeah. But he steals one of your songs.
Yeah. He's a guest at a wedding. He's friends with the groom, and he comes up on stage, and we sing together. And then we go back to his room and jam, and we both write music, and we're kind of tossing around ideas, and it's a real meet cute. and then a few months later, I hear a song that I showed him, and I think, that sounds familiar, and then he turned it into a hit.
And you're upset about it.
I get no credit. Yeah.
And you don't like that.
I don't like it at all. No. Spoiler alert.
John Carney, the great Irish director, who's done some fantastic musical films.
yeah.
Once,
Yep.
Sing Street.
Yep.
So this is very safe hands, and he does a great job. His wife plays your wife in the film.
That's right.
Is that an awkward dynamic when...
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've done it before.
I did with Leslie Mann.
Yeah.
Yeah, in This Is 40.
That's
and
Judd Apatow's,
And his kids were my kids.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a weird, you wonder, is it some sort of very elaborate therapy session for
Yeah.
him? That it's like, what's happening?
Yeah.
But
At some point, did you worry, like, I don't think this is a real movie. I think Judd's just working through some stuff.
yeah, there's not even film in those cameras.
There should be a crew here. This is weird.
When we started doing This Is 40, he said, why don't you come over to the house and you'll see kind of like how we operate kind of after dinner before we put the kids to bed. And then I'm like, okay. and I went over to his house. We had dinner, and then he put the kids to bed. And I remember I was in the room with Judd, like putting Iris to sleep. And I'm like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
We're not. This feels weird.
Yeah, and you're a guy, I mean, again, you knew that, and you've sung Cat's Cradle with your own.
This was my own child.
You
I'm
don't
like,
know where the line is,
like,
but you
yeah,
knew.
Yeah, I'm like, this is worse. So that I just remembered that. It was weird. Yeah.
You did some wedding DJing back in your past, is that correct?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Were
'cause
you
I was-
good at it?
No,
Yeah.
no. I don't think I was, but it was a nice job to do when I was in school, and I could do it on the weekends.
Yeah.
I would do bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs.
Right.
Really any kind of mitzvah, and weddings and birthdays. And one time I did somebody's 40th birthday, I think, and it was kind of cool. It was in L.A.
Oh, wow.
So you'd sometimes get some famous people showing up at the wedding, kind of like Nick Jonas and this
Yeah.
one. And I did one where Neil Diamond was a guest.
Wow. Do you feel a little tighter behind the old DJ turntables when Neil Diamond's in the house?
I was very aware, and I was nervous. I mean, it's Neil Diamond, and part of the gig as a DJ is you got to go around and just make sure everyone's having a good time. By the way, I was about 21 years old,
Yeah.
and I was not This is when I was with You Should Be Dancing, not Ray Entertainment. And I was just starting off, and I just went around, and Neil Diamond was sitting at his table by himself, and I said, hello, Mr. Diamond. Are you having fun tonight? And he was very serious, and he said, yes, I am. And I just said, well, more importantly, are you wanging Chung tonight? I think it might have been playing. It had to have been playing. But I remember he just looked at me, and he's very serious, and he just said, well, I try and wang Chung every night. And I said, all right. And then I walked away. Yeah. That's my Neil.
I don't think it could go much better than that.
No, it was a perfect run-in.
Oh.
Yeah, it was great.
Obviously, you have to you'd be away from your family. You have to live in a hotel. I'm assuming for a fair amount of time.
Yeah, I mean it's weird, when you go away for a little while. That one I actually rented a place, like an apartment or no, a house.
You
I
rented.
had to think about that.
You rented an Irish pub with a house above it.
I lived in a pub. It is weird. You do stay in hotels for a long time, but
Yeah.
sometimes that's kind of nice. You get to know the staff, and I had a friend once that did this. He was staying in a hotel for a long time. I always think of this too because he really got to be kind of chummy with the woman that was kind of coming in and cleaning his room. She barely spoke English, but he developed a real rapport with her, and she used to call him Skippy, even though his name is JP. And finally, at the end, he was checking out. He goes, I gotta say, it's so crazy. Why do you call me Skippy? My name's JP. And she's looking, huh? What? And in that moment, he realized that every day she would knock on his door, and she wasn't saying, hi, Skippy. She was saying, housekeeping. This is true. And I always think of that.
Hey, congrats on the film. Thanks
Thank
for being
you.
here, buddy. It's always so good to see you.
Thanks,
You guys
Seth.
all run Howard Ballard in theaters everywhere. Tomorrow we'll be right back with Rafa Nadal.